What do what do I do? What do we do when our spouse is unfaithful?
Yep,
Um,
that's the question.
I'm gonna man, I don't want to incriminate myself, but I think um uh, sh- that's a hard that's tough. That's tough right there. Um
Darwin,
I've
just
only been
answer the
married. I only
question.
been married once, so and I don't plan on getting married again. So I mean, it never happened to me. So I never even thought about it happening. So um, and that's a question in itself. Like, why do men get that grace that we don't even have to think about that? We have the luxury of coming home every day and every night, for the most part, and not even thinking that our woman is out there cheating. No matter what we do, we still think we got it on lock. But I think I would probably, lose my mind. I probably go into a deep depression. I would hope that I would have enough enough sense to just leave, And
Okay.
I'm pretty sure the person I am, I probably would never forgive her. Even if I stayed with her, I probably would
Hmm.
just be on some vengeful type stuff. I probably need some deep counseling to get over it. And I really don't. I really can't say. I'm just assuming the type of person I am. I'm a really sensitive person when I'm hurt. I get really emotional, and I just get real vengeful. So, and
Okay.
that's because I never dealt with stuff like that. And I think if I was to get struck with that type of hurt, that I would probably, you know, lose my mind. So
You wouldn't deal with it so
no,
well.
I wouldn't deal with it
Okay.
again. No, not at
That's
all.
interesting. I have a follow-up question as usual, but I want to hear from everyone else. And this is a very broad question, right? So I just want you all to answer it by what comes to mind, and then we'll start digging a little deeper. Okay. Go ahead, Jovo.
So after I have my emotional breakdown and I cry and I scream because I'm gonna just be transparent about it. Infidelity is like a deal breaker for me. It always has been. I've seen marriages around me growing up, relationships around me grow up, fall apart, and not be the same after infidelity. So for me, it's a deal breaker. However, now that I've been married for as long as I've been married, I see it differently now. It's not just something that, okay, this person did the ultimate wrong, cut their head off, move on to the next person. I don't see it that way anymore. But after I
Mhm.
have my emotional breakdown and I have my broken moment, I have to kind of remind myself of how I view my relationship with my marriage in the first place. Did I view it as something that could be broken? Because I mean, for me, that behavior is something that could potentially break a covenant between two people. But I must first kind of, check myself and have that conversation with my spouse. Did we have a covenant in the first place? You know, if it really is broken, okay, because there's certain things that we break in our house. There's certain things that can be broken, that are at risk of being broken. And I have to ask myself, do I really want to fix this? And do I have the energy to want to fix it? Like, because like I
Mm.
said, the reality of it is that once upon a time, infidelity for me, it was a deal breaker. Like, I would turn down dates when I was younger with guys that I knew that they had cheated on people, with other people. I didn't want nothing to do with them. Like, I would look at you differently if I saw you with somebody who cheated on whoever you were dating or your spouse or whatever. I would definitely look at you different. But now that I'm married, I see it differently. So I would have an emotional breakdown. I'm like, Darwin, I'm probably going to be in my feelings. I'm probably going to yell. I'm going to say some four little words. I'm going to express myself emotionally. I'm not going to be walking around acting like I'm okay because I'm not going to be okay. And then after that, I have to ask myself, okay, is this broken and do I want to fix it? So
Okay.
that's how I see it.
Okay. So when you once thought that infidelity was a deal breaker, that was
Hmm.
only prior to being married.
That was probably, let's see. probably about 5 or 6 years into marriage. And I
Okay,
haven't
up
experienced
until
it before, but I've seen somebody close to me experience it. And so I've actually seen, since I've been married, a couple go through it, and now they seem like they're stronger than ever. So it kind of changed my perspective a little bit with witnessing what they went through. And now that I
mm-hmm.
have my own husband, I don't know if I could just easily like cut my marriage off like something that didn't exist in the first place and just move on with my life.
Right.
Like, I don't know if I could
Mm-hmm.
do that. You know, I don't know if I could do that. So that would be
Okay.
my initial reaction.
Okay. Thank you. So let's go ahead and hear from Mrs. Cannon Hill. Go ahead. What do you think?
I think that it's a lot of variables to that. You know what I mean? It's kind of case by case. So it depends on a lot of different factors. Like there's really not one single thing to do in the case of infidelity. I think that the first thing is, and this is what I mean by case, and there's so many variables. Like what is exactly the infidelity? Like, do you all have the same ideas on what is considered being unfaithful, or what is cheating, or what's
Okay.
acceptable or not acceptable? Was it ever discussed? Those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
Is your Are you concerned about your health? Like, are you concerned about whatever your spouse is doing? Is it something that could possibly bring something back to you, and have those types of impacts? Like, that's something to think about. I don't know. I just think that it's tough. And I think in a lot of cases, depending on those things, sometimes I feel that it probably, people do say a lot of times like, oh, I'm just going to leave, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I think most people don't. Um, but I think that it's probably, like Darwin said, it's probably best if people did, right? Because a lot of times it's very difficult to manage, not just for the person who feels um not just for the person who feels wronged, but also
Okay.
for the person who's responsible, right? Because that's also something that they have to be willing to deal with, the consequences and the aftermath. And a lot of people, I don't think, are equipped to deal with it, right? Because if you break trust, then you have to go through the steps to try to gain trust back. That takes time, and a lot of people just not built for it, so it kind of damages the relationship, you know. I don't know, in a lot of ways that I think people don't even necessarily consider a lot of times when they out here, you know,
Mm-hmm.
doing what they do. But it's just a lot of different variables. So I don't think it's like a one size fits all, like this is what you do when your spouse is unfaithful. I think
Okay.
it just like depends on the circumstances.
Okay. All right. Last but certainly not least, Sharice, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, me myself, I'm rather petty. Um, with love, things can be forgiven, but that's a hard pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
But if I did decide to forgive my spouse, um, with all my pettiness, I would expect the same forgiveness, um, if it were to happen
When you cheat
as a
back.
parent. It's just I feel that certain things won't be placed on the table when there are certain consequences. A lot of times when people you know have those indiscretions, usually it's the man and the woman forgives him. If you know that your spouse will gladly forgive you and pay you back, probably take a second thought. In my
Mm-hmm.
family, I've seen where marriages have fallen apart from infidelity. I've also seen where marriages were able to come back together and actually become stronger after the infidelity. So,
Okay.
I don't want to experience that, but I definitely want to be loved with forgiveness, just as that my spouse would expect for me to love them with forgiveness.